Mercy Me is coming to Pittsburgh, the Together Again tour with Mercy Me, Crowder, and special guest Andrew Ripp, Thursday, October 5th. Bring your family and friends to the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh for Mercy Me, Crowder, and Andrew Ripp live in concert. 3 multiple award-winning artists on one stage for one night. Let your spirit soar, your heart sing, and your faith ignite. Mark your calendars for Thursday, October 5th. Get your tickets now at mercyme.org.
It's maddening. You want to do something different and you just find yourself in the same rut. Before we go into 2022 and we make the same mistakes and we get stuck in the same rut, let's talk about how we can prevent that from happening. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Christy Wright Show, where faith meets personal development so you can have a bigger faith and a better life. I'm so excited because this month we are kicking off a new theme with the Christy Wright Show. We are focusing on preparing for 2022. It is right around the corner, and so we are going to start talking about it. Now, I know right now you are in the middle of the Christmas season, and I get that. And I want you to stay there, snuggle, have hot chocolate, enjoy all of the wonderful moments of the Christmas season with the people that you love the most. But while you're listening to this show, I want to give you some tips, some encouragement, some thoughts to help you begin to prepare for 2022. So when that calendar flips and it's a new year, you are prepared and ready to go. And today we are kicking off this new theme by talking about how to stop making the same mistakes. Have you ever been there where you just keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again and you don't know why? It's maddening. You want to do something different and you just find yourself in the same rut. Well, before we go into 2022 and we make the same mistakes and we get stuck in the same rut and we do the same things we've always done, let's talk about how we can prevent that from happening. Let's talk about something very specific and practical that will set you up to do something different next year. You probably have ideas for next year and goals for next year and things you want to see happen. But if those things are going to happen, we've got to stop doing what we've always done. So today we're going to talk about a very simple thing that you can do to do that. And that is reflect. I want you to think about reflecting on this last year before you pile on the pressure for next year. I want you to think about what was right this last year, what you learned this last year, what you want to do more of or less of from this last year before you go speeding into next year doing maybe the same things. You know, when I worked at the local newspaper right out of college and I quit that job, not really sure what I wanted to do next, I just knew I didn't want to do what I had been doing there. And so as I began to look for the next thing, I thought, well, I don't want this environment, which is, to be honest, kind of depressing. I've talked about this before on the show. I don't want this depressing environment and the mundane activities that are not at all in line with my strengths. So I'm going to start to look for something that is exciting, that's a company I believe in, that has purpose, that's in line with my strengths. That's what led me to working for the YMCA for 3 years, and I absolutely loved it. Now, it wasn't easy. It was certainly very hard. It was long hours. It was a really, really, really hard season of my life, but I also learned a ton. And I got to work in this environment that made me light up and come alive and use my strengths, and it was so positive, and we changed people's lives. Well, the only reason I knew to look for that is because I took a moment to reflect on what I had been doing. What was awesome about this experience that I want to make sure I do more of in this next season, in this next job? Well, one of the things I loved is I loved that we did work that mattered. We had such purpose and mission to our company, and I wanted to make sure that whatever I did next had purpose and mission. It truly changed lives. There was also, unfortunately, a lot of things that I didn't love, that I didn't want to do anymore, that stressed me out. For example, I worked 7 days a week, and I was on call the majority of those days. The YMCA here at the local center where I worked would open at 5 a.m., which meant that if you were leading a team, you were there at 4:45 to open the center, and it was open till 10 p.m. So if one of my lifeguards called out sick or didn't show up for that 5 a.m. shift, or someone had a problem and didn't come in, or someone got suspended or whatever, guess who got called? I did. So I thought, you know what? I love leadership, but in this next season, I don't want to be responsible for anybody. I don't want to lead a team. I want to be responsible for me. And if I do a good job, then it's a good day. And if I didn't do a good job, I can take responsibility for that. But in my last job, even if I had a great day, someone was always doing something wrong, and that reflected on me. So I began to reflect on this experience in order to inform what I wanted to do next. You know, one of the things I love to talk about is the idea of seasons. Like, what season are you in with your health, or with your kids, or with your job, or with your family, or with your goals? What would it look like to reflect on the last season before you set goals and decide what you're going to do in the next season? I had an experience a couple years ago where my husband and I had signed our kids up for so many activities. And they were all good activities, from gymnastics to camp to soccer to basketball. But we ran ourselves ragged. And so when I stopped at the end of that season, completely exhausted, I reflected on that and thought, what do I want to do different? Man, we did too much. In this next season, we're going to choose one activity. In this next season, we're going to choose one sport. See, there's such power in simply reflecting. When you reflect on what was, whether that's your past job, your last season, or whatever that looks like, your last year, 2021, you can use that information to inform what you do next. But if you don't stop and reflect, if you don't stop and pause and look at what was, then you might end up doing the same things again. Pursuing a job that has the same problems, setting goals that get you run ragged, signing up for all the activities and all the sports, and you end 2022 the same way you're ending this year, with no growth and no change. And I know you want to grow. I know you want to change. I know you want things to be different, even if it's just by degrees. You want to make it a little better here, a little bit more margin here, a little bit better relationships here. I don't know what that is for you. If you want next year to be different, if you want to grow or change or improve any area of your life, you need to pause. Reflect on what was before you decide what you're going to do next. All right, y'all, let's talk about how to do that practically. If you're like me, you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. I need to reflect. How do I do that? Like, show me steps, show me the plan. You show me the plan, I'll follow the plan. I just need to know how. Well, the good news is there is a very simple system that businesses use for any type of project when they're trying to reflect on something. This is a very tactical practice. And the great news is it's not just for businesses. You can use this in your life. Now, y'all know, if you have followed me for any amount of time, that I love to pull back the curtain on how we do things here at Ramsey Solutions, how we do things with our business boutique team. And this practice, which is called the 4 Helpfuls, is something that we use for everything. Whether we launch a book, or we have a live event, or we have a big internal initiative, after that thing is over, when we're reflecting, we go through this exercise as a team called the 4 Helpfuls. And I'm going to walk you through this today because this is something you can use in your life. In fact, just last week, the personalities team did this. We're walking through looking at these different areas of our team, and y'all, the structure of it and the beauty of its simplicity makes it so easy to understand what you need to learn from what was, just like we're talking about. So we're going to walk through how to reflect on anything in life, your past job, your last season, your last year, whatever that looks like, using the 4 Helpfuls. And then that is going to inform what you do next. All right. As the name suggests, in the 4 Helpfuls, there are 4 categories, and I'm going to walk you through each of these. The first category is what's right. What's right? What you're going to do when you look at this area of your life, whether it is a season, a job, a relationship, or all of 2021, you're going to make a column on a piece of paper. If you're jotting this down, you can do this on your computer. You can do it on a notepad. Doesn't matter. But make a column, and at the top of that column, you're going to put the word right. R-I-G-H-T, right, as in, what was right last year? What was right about this season? What was right about this project? What was right about this job? And you're going to list out all of the things that you can think about that were right. What was awesome? What was good? What were you so happy about? What was in line with your values? When I thought back to my job at the YMCA, if I was doing this exercise, which I didn't because I didn't know it at that time, but if I was going to walk through this, I would have written down, I love that the culture and the environment of the YMCA team was full of energy, full of life, full of passionate people, and that made me come alive. Another thing I might have listed is that I loved the purpose and mission of that organization, still do, by the way. I love that we did work that mattered. We changed lives. That was right. See, as you reflect on any area of your life, and let's just say you're going to reflect on all of 2021 as you prepare for next year, and you're just maybe hopefully having a little bit more time this month, maybe more time with family around the fire, time resting, margin to pause and think and reflect. Think about all the things in your year that were right. Think about all the things that were true and good and positive, because here's what you're going to do with this category. Everything that you write down that was right, you're going to amplify. So if you want to go ahead and write down the word amplify under the word right at the top of your column, this is a list of what's right, and the things that you write in this column will be things that you amplify. So make a list of all the things you can think of from this past year or this past season that were right. These are the things, as you prepare for next year, that you want to do more of. In fact, you may want to amplify them in different ways and find ways to maximize things in this category that were right. All right, let's move on to the second category. After you write down a column of what's right that you're going to amplify, your next column at the top, you're going to write the word wrong. W-R-O-N-G, write the word wrong. And under this column header, you're going to write fix. So we've covered what's right that we're going to amplify. The second column is what's wrong. These are things you're going to fix. So you sit there and you make a list of everything about this year that was wrong. What were the things that were mistakes that you made? Maybe an error in judgment. Maybe you overcommitted your calendar. Maybe it was a mistake you made that led you down a path where you're like, I don't even know how I got here. I'm stuck in that rut that we talked about. Make a list of everything that you can think of from this past year that you're focusing on that was wrong, that just you wish you could change. And let me tell you, writing down this list, while it may not be fun, is a really important step to not making the same mistakes next year. When you identify these things were wrong and understand these are the things I can control and I can fix, well, that's the first step. The first step to fixing what's wrong is knowing what's wrong. So take a moment, make a list. What were the things about this year that were wrong? These are the things you're going to find ways to fix going into next year. Using my same analogy of changing from the YMCA to my next career move, I would have written down long hours, on call 24/7, leading a team of 200 people. These were things that, in my opinion, at that stage of life were wrong that I wanted to fix in my next career move. All right, so we've got 2 of the 4 helpfuls. We're making some columns here if you're tracking with me. The first column is write out everything that is right that you're going to amplify, everything that is wrong that you're going to fix. The third column, write the word missing. Right at the top of your column, missing. And what you're going to do with these things, you're going to add them. What was missing from this year? When you look back on 2021, what was missing? What wasn't there that should have been there? What wasn't there that you want to add for next year? Maybe you look back at your year and you go, man, I worked a lot. I didn't have any time for myself. I need to add time alone, add time for hobbies, or add time for self-care, or add time with God. Man, one of the things that was missing was I really feel like that I was so scattered running my kids from here to there and all these activities. I didn't have quality time with them. Yeah, I took them to soccer and took them to gymnastics, but we never had dinner around the dinner table because we were so busy. Maybe you write down what was missing was family time. I don't know what that is for you. But again, the reason we're walking through this is to bring awareness to what happened this last year so you can do something different next year. Write out everything from 2021 that was missing that you want to add for next year. All right, so far we've covered what was right, what was wrong, what was missing, and the fourth helpful, the final column you're going to write down is what was confused. What was confused about this year? What gave you lack of clarity? What gave you anxiety? What felt just like chaos? If I was going to share this with you, let's say that I was doing this right now with you in real time, reflecting on my year. One of the things that was confused for me, and I have shared this many times on the show, one of the things that was confused was what I'm supposed to do for my son, Conley. It's confusing, y'all. We're learning about him and what he needs and what therapies are right and what evaluations are appropriate and who we trust and what school he should go to and what's best for him and how to set him up for success. Man, it's confusing. It's hard. And I wouldn't say that we have it totally figured out, but I would say that as I bring awareness to this is an area of my life that is confusing, the thing that you're going to do with these items in this column is you're going to clarify them as much as possible. So your header for this column is confused, and under that word, you're going to write clarify because everything you write in this column are things you're going to try as much as you can to clarify. So look back on your last year. What was confusing? What was maybe feeling a little chaotic? You didn't have clarity there. You want to clarify it for next year. Maybe this last year, you look back and you go, gosh, I was so busy. I don't know what my priorities were. I felt like everything was important, so that was confusing. My priorities were confused. I don't know what they were. I don't know what that is for you, but when you reflect on this last year, you want to make this final list of things that were confused so that you can make an effort to clarify them going into next year. All right, I know this is super tactical today, but I want to do a quick recap so you can use this framework to reflect on 2021 or anything you want to reflect on. It could be something as small as the last sports season with your kids. Use this framework to help you have a better understanding about what you want to learn from what was to make improvements for next year and what you want to do next. So we've got 4 columns. Let's walk through those. Column 1, write out everything that was right that you're going to amplify. The second column, write out everything that was wrong that you're going to fix. The third column, write out everything that was missing that you want to add. And the fourth column, write out everything that was confused that you want to clarify. Now, of course, as you're doing this exercise, there are going to be things that you write down that come up, that happened, that you don't have full control over. Don't let that discourage you. Even those areas that aren't fully in your control, at least the awareness shows you what you want to work on, when and how you can control it or improve it, but it also gives you those specific prayer requests to bring those things before God and watch how He shows up for you in the areas of your life that are hard or missing or confused, and He can fill the gap for you, even if some of those things are a little bit out of your control. All right, I hope the 4 helpfuls help you reflect on last year as you prepare and plan and get excited for next year. And if you want a tool to help you do that even more, y'all don't forget, I have a 2022 goal planner. This is your tool where I walk with you month after month to help you not only set goals, but hold you accountable to your goals. And even every single month, there's an opportunity for you to do what I'm telling you to do, to reflect on last month before you plan the next month. This is the tool that helps you do what I teach you to do. So you can get your 2022 goal planner at RamseySolutions.com today. All right, y'all, we are taking your calls and answering your questions about life, business, and everything in between. Let's go to Huntsville, Alabama with Carolyn. Hey, Carolyn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today, Christy?
Great. What's going on?
I had a question. So I am a interior designer and I own my business. Currently, it's just me. We are expecting baby number 3. And I was just wondering, how do I need to prepare my business for a maternity leave? And how do I approach this with clients?
Yeah. Okay. That's a great question. Well, first of all, congratulations. That's awesome. You're a pro by now with number 3, right? You've done this before. How long have you had your business?
So I opened my doors. It'll be 5 years next month.
Cool. Okay. Well, walk me through what you did the first 2 times, just because I want to build on this because you've done this before. So that's the great part. This is not some scary thing that you've never done. How did you do it before?
So the first 2 times I was not very busy. Right now, I am at the busiest I've ever been. I raised my prices thanks to you.
Great. I love hearing that. Yes, I love it.
And I am at the point where I'm taking so many projects on that I have hit the point where I'm about to need to hire someone. So it's kind of a little bit new because before I had just wrapped a project when I had my second one.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any in the pipeline.
Yeah.
This time I've got some projects that will be about to install. I'll have some that I'm mid-project on, and hopefully I'll be taking on new ones.
Gotcha. So in your business, there's a couple different ways that you can do it. Let me ask you this. If you were not going on maternity leave, would you still be wanting to hire?
Yes.
Okay. That's huge. When you hire, what specifically are you hiring for? Do you want basically someone that can do all the things that you can do, or you want someone like, for example, that just does the installs and you do all the design, the consults, that type of thing?
Right now, we're looking at bringing on someone who does more of the administrative aspects versus another designer, but I'm still toying with which of the two is the greater need.
Yeah. You mean between a designer and an admin?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's look at a couple options, okay? When I have gone on maternity leave for my 3 kids, in the nature of what I do, now I work for a company, and this company has a maternity leave benefit. But because of the nature of what I do, I really can't. Like you, I can't just go dark for 3 months. I can't just disappear and drop everything. So what I have to do, and this is bad news, good news, what I have to do, and an option for you is I work my tail off leading up to it. So I record 3 months of podcasts in advance before I go out, which means I'm doubling up on podcast recording in the months leading up to maternity leave. Social media posts, I write double the amount of social media posts. Now, I usually spread this over 6 months leading up to it, so I'm not, it's not truly double. But it's about, 50% more work leading up to maternity leave so those things can continue to go out and air and so on while I'm out. Now, that's how I do it. So there's a piece of this that you can get your consults, your clients, your designs, do some of this ahead of time so that you're not completely going dark during that time. The thing that I'm curious about was what would it look like to have someone where you maybe do the designs before you go out, but then someone else does like the installs while you're out. So the relationship is still happening. The process is still progressing, but you're not actually doing the installs, which you don't need to be doing, but the client is still getting served. My concern is for you to hire an interior designer. Your first hire is the scariest, especially with what you do with design, which can be so artistic, so subjective, so like you're so specific about what you like and what you do. I would just hate for you to rush it because you're going on maternity leave and then this is a person that's not a good fit for you and damages your brand or damages your reputation. You know what I'm saying? So I think the good news is your clients are humans just like you. So you can communicate to them, hey, I'm having a baby. I'm going on maternity leave. If you want these things done, I can do it in this time frame before. Or it's going to be after this date, just like my, the girl that does my hair highlights. When she had a baby, she's like, hey, I'm out these 3 months, so I can get you in before, I can get you after. So they can work around that if you want to truly be off and you can do some extra work ahead of time. I do think it's a great idea to go ahead and hire an admin, though, because that's someone that will help you keep things going without damaging your brand. Meaning, like the designer, I just want you to really have the right person. Does that make sense?
It does.
So here's what I would do if I were you. I would write out a job description for this admin. Here we call it a key results area. Basically, you're going to write out what is this person going to do for you? What is she going to take off your plate or he going to take off your plate? What results are they going to get in your business? And even more specifically, how is this person being on your team going to ROI? bring you a return on the investment of what you're paying them, where they're actually making you more money than they're costing them. May not be making you direct money because they're not in sales or they're not getting new business. But if they free you up for 20 hours a week and then you go get new business for 20 hours a week, then they have brought in more business. Does that make sense?
It does.
So the biggest trap small business owners fall into when they hire their first person, or 100th for that matter, is they just don't have a plan for that person. So I just want you to have a plan. When are you due, by the way?
I am due on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, congratulations. Well, you've got some time. You've got some time to figure this out, Carolyn. So this would be a great exercise for you. I know it's going to take carving out the time, especially when you're busy. But put together a job description. What specific things are they going to take off your plate that's going to free you up to do what? And then I would just encourage you to, let's say that's going to be step one. I'm going to give you some tactical homework here. 1, write out your job description. 2, I want you to figure out what your communication with your customers is going to be, your clients. Maybe it's just an email draft and you personalize it and say, hey, I'm so excited. I'm going to be out from this time to this time. I want to get you taken care of before then. And then any new clients that come in, if you can fit them in before you're out, go ahead and block them on your time frame like you would. And if not, they go on a waiting list to get served when you're back to work.
Okay.
The only other caveat to this is if there is some part of the business, like I said, like an install that someone else can do and you don't worry about them damaging the brand or whatever, then that would be something I would look into as a seasonal temp. So you would just ask around, hey, here's the skills, here's the work, and here's the time frame I need you to do it. That would be a way for you to continue taking new business up until pretty close to when you're out, because you're doing the designing piece of it, but then that process could continue while you're out. That would be one thing I might look into. You don't have to do it. It just would help you continue to keep up with the workflow while you're out. But great job. Great job on raising your prices. Great job on recognizing that you need help and being willing to invest in your business and yourself by hiring help. Great job building this business, and congratulations on your new baby. That is so, so, so exciting. But keep me updated, Carolyn. Let me know. Let me know how it goes, and report back on if you get that hire in. I know that's always a scary process, but it was one of those things that afterwards you're like, oh, why didn't I do that sooner? That was a huge help. So thanks for calling, Carolyn. I wish you all the best. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for joining me as always. And you can tune in next week for another new episode of The Christy Wright Show. As always, for more encouragement on becoming the person you want to be, you can visit ChristyWright.com.
Mercy Me is coming to Pittsburgh. The Together Again tour with Mercy Me, Crowder, and special guest Andrew Rip. Thursday, October 5th. Bring your family and friends to the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh for Mercy Me, Crowder, and Andrew Rip live in concert. 3 multiple award-winning artists on one stage for one night. Let your spirit soar, your heart sing, and your faith ignite. Mark your calendars for Thursday, October 5th. Get your tickets now at mercyme.org.